Commissioner Taylor would be at this press conference today as well. I will tell you that in the last 24 hours, I have visited both the Walnut Grove facility as well as Parchman with Commissioner Taylor, having landed back in Jackson approximately 1 hour ago. And what I will tell you is that the Commissioner and I made the decision that his time was better spent meeting with the employees and the staff and others at Parchman, and so that's the reason that he is not here at this time. But I know he'll be available to you should you have follow-up questions as we move through this process. We know that there are problems in the system. We don't want to hide them, we want to fix them. And you have a role in that, and I want to recognize that right up top of this press briefing. A week ago, I stood here before all of you to share my plans to restore order in the Department of Corrections and rebuild trust in the system. I said that I would honor my promise to provide for the safety and dignity of all within the system and for all of Mississippi. I am a man of my word, and that work has been a focus over the first days of our new administration. Thanks to people like Commissioner Taylor, who, by the way, I stand before you on Thursday of this week even more convinced today than I was on Thursday of last week when I announced Commissioner Taylor that he is the right person to lead this agency in this interim period. But thanks to Commissioner Taylor and our partnership with the Department of Public Safety and the Department of Corrections, I'm proud to report that we are working hard every day to honor that promise for the people of our state. Day by day, we are making progress. Today, I want to provide a rundown of some of our first steps to restore order at Parchman since Commissioner Taylor hit the ground running on Monday. A lot of these changes will seem like common sense. That's because they are. They've been needed for a long time, but we are starting from where we are. First, we're working to improve the conditions there. In a lot of places, they're not good. There's no other word for it. They're terrible. I saw it myself today. We deployed maintenance teams from across the state of Mississippi to immediately begin work to improve the physical conditions at Parchman. We're bringing senior leadership to the front lines. We're making sure that a senior officer will be present on the grounds at all times to prevent the leadership void that can lead to chaos. We're cracking down on criminal coordination by using the managed access system to prevent contraband cell phones from being used in all of Parchman's housing units. These phones have been illegal for years, but they've been snuck in, and they're being used to coordinate gang activity throughout the Mississippi system and even throughout the country. That was a large part of what caused the recent series of killings to escalate as much as it did. It's a real problem, and it's got to be taken seriously to save lives. We want to make sure that corrections officers are not creating more problems than they solve. The vast majority of officers are doing difficult work for far too little pay and under very challenging circumstances. We all know that. We are all proud of them and grateful for their service. We also know, if you talk to anybody working in these facilities, that too many can be used by gangs operating within the prison to extend their power and sneak in contraband, including weapons. It's got to stop. There's a lot more to be done on this front, but one immediate step is to screen guards for signs of gang affiliation. That work is going on as we speak. We're also taking a look at prisoner distribution, making sure that people who are at risk of creating more violence aren't in jobs or locations that give them access to potential tools or targets of violence. We also need to make sure that prisoners who aren't as likely to be violent aren't sitting around without purpose all day. So we're taking a look at housing and jobs within the prison, because it is our belief that some changes there could have a real impact. I'm pleased to provide an update on a previous announcement. I told you before that we would be deploying an agent to Parchman to conduct a wide-ranging criminal investigation. That agent has been identified and is on the ground now. That's what we're doing in our first few days to stop the bleeding. We also know that we need to work to rebuild the integrity of the system. That is a much larger conversation. And as I said a week ago, all options are on the table. I want to be clear. No final decisions on that front have been made in our first week. I also told you that I want to be transparent about our thought process, and so I want to keep you in the loop. One discussion that has been ongoing is opening other facilities to provide for better housing options. If we're going to implement real change and fix the current state of our system, I will not rely on secondhand accounts. I need to see it and experience it for myself. In the past 24 hours, I have been on the ground to see our facilities firsthand. Yesterday, Commissioner Taylor and I joined Sheriff Greg Wagoner, Senator Jennifer Branning, and Mayor Brian Gamillion at the Walnut Grove Correctional Facility. Touring around the prison, what I saw was thought-provoking. Everyone remembers the past issues at the facility. While the past corruption led to its closing, the foundation is something we can build on. We're paying for it right now as a state, and no one is there. It's not a country club, but the physical conditions are better than what some are dealing with in units at Parchman today. One of the common issues at Parchman and other prisons has been the hiding and passing of contraband, sparking a number of the recent conflicts. The construction of the cells in Walnut Grove would limit that. In each cell, the walls are poured concrete walls. This prevents the ability to chip away at mortar as compared to cinder blocks cells, which tend to be hollow in the middle, reducing inmates' opportunity to hide or pass contraband between cells. They have electronic cells as well as manual cells, which creates a flexibility within the facility that allows for tailoring distribution to the different types of inmates. A benefit of that flexibility is a majority of the prison could physically hold inmates as early as tomorrow. I also went, as I mentioned earlier, to the heart of the problem. Just an hour ago, I touched down back in Jackson after visiting the Mississippi State Penitentiary at Parchman. The first thing that struck me was that there are good people there trying to make a difference. I want to thank them. I want to make sure that we don't forget them. They are doing their absolute best in tough circumstances. As we work to root out corruption and incompetence, we can't forget those that are maintaining order today. We also saw some pretty rough conditions, particularly in Unit 29, where some inmates have just torn the place apart. Our new maintenance teams are on site trying to make it better. But there are tactical problems in the prison that have made that hard to keep up. I went to the room where the riots happened. Inmates that are known to be dangerous are being housed together without any structure to prevent violent collision. This has to be addressed. We've got a lot of big decisions to make about the future of the system here in Mississippi, about the near-term protection of people within the system, about the leaders we're going to bring in to right the ship. They aren't easy and they aren't quick, but we're going to make them and we're going to get them right. I've been appalled by things that I've learned in the last week, but proud of the potential that I've seen from many of the people working to rebuild. We've got a long way to go, but I can tell you with confidence that everyone in our administration is taking this very, very seriously. I'm not here to make empty promises. The issues within the department didn't happen overnight, and they won't be fixed overnight. It will be a long road, but we are making progress to restore Mississippians' trust in the system. Ultimately, this is not about the problems of the past. This is about paving the way for a better future for the system and for Mississippi. And I am committed to seeing this through every step of the way.
Governor.
So with that,